Good morning. This is Mariana Mitchell, and I'm here with our week 3 presentation where we're going to review public administration and putting some of the theory into practice. So here we have a brief overview. We will go over a summary of the theory which I've selected, some of the strengths, weaknesses, the theory in action in today, and we'll conclude with some of my references. So we're at a point in the course where we're reviewing management and public administration as a part of the New Deal. It is now very widely recognized as a science, and management is experiencing a bit of a revolutionary idea that it's more of a social science, integrating more of the human nature into both public administration and management. So, summary of the theory for which I've selected Charles Lindblom's Science of Muddling Through, also known as incrementalism. So this for me spoke to me because the analogy that he used, that there's two methods of decision making. If you take a look at a tree, you could either make a decision at the root of a situation, creating a more revolutionary type change, or you could either make a change at the branch level, kind of pruning the branches and slowly making smaller changes that ultimately change the shape of the tree. So again, this is his theory of incrementalism, as mentioned in our week 3 discussion, that policy changes is evolutionary, not revolutionary. So again, the argument for that incremental change is that you can make things happen at a smaller steps, but ultimately creating the ideal goal. So some of the strengths of this theory is that it's in its simplicity. It's very simple, it's easy for people to follow, and because it's simple, it also has a bit of flexibility to it. And because we're making smaller changes throughout a prolonged period of time, it's easier to gather consensus for wanting to move forward with some of these changes. And ultimately, for this type of change, it tends to be non-disruptive because you're not changing the very root or the basis of how people function in an organization. We're making very small changes that ultimately will get us to where we want to be. Some of the weaknesses are things like there's this missing out, this possibility that we're going to be missing out on the best possible solution because we're not willing to make that big monster change that will create a revolution. Also, we may have a tendency to accept lower quality results because we're not willing to take bigger risks. Also, this only works with continuous change, meaning that we're constantly making these small changes on a regular basis, which could lead to people feeling like they're always changing. And I've got this picture of the Escher staircases because you're constantly moving, but do you really know where you're going? And last but not least, incrementalism in the world of ethics has a way of being known as that slippery slope, meaning that you make this small little shortcut, you cut this corner this one time, it's okay for today, for tomorrow you continue to cut that corner, it keeps moving forward, and it's just a slippery slope for accepting some behavior that may not be in the best interest of an organization. So these are some of the weaknesses that we see when it comes to incrementalism for this particular theory. So this theory in action today, the one place that you constantly see incrementalism is in the spotlight of strategic planning. You're looking at organizations that want to make changes that ultimately look for small steps that get them to where they want to be. You'll see incrementalism is often referred to as trial and error. You know, if plan A doesn't work and plan B doesn't work, we've got plan C and we can continue going, till the very end of the alphabet, even into some numbers. But again, these are just ways for people to learn and grow from experience and intuition. There's this constant reassessment and then utilization of different techniques to see what works in an organization. Also, as mentioned earlier, this is really a great tool when you're trying to change mindsets. Speaking from personal experience, I currently work in a city where we're not as technology friendly as possible. We had just barely started accepting online applications. A lot of our processes are very much paper heavy, as many organizations are. And for us to move into the 21st century, we've got a lot of our department heads who have been there for quite some time and have this level of uncomfortability when it comes to technology. So making the small incremental changes in different areas and showing the benefits of making these changes really helps us persevere and overall kind of overhaul the overall mindset of this type of change. So again, evolutionizing instead of revolutionizing is sometimes maybe more work in the long run, but it makes it more beneficial for the organization as a whole. So this concludes my presentation. Here are some references, and I very much look forward to some of your feedback, and I wish you all the very best this weekend.